Energy prices going from record to record.
Energy prices are doubling, tripling.
Straining the pocketbooks of struggling American families.
Worse, some places are running out of power.
We could soon see the worst worldwide energy crisis since the 1970s.
A big reason? The world's attempt to switch to cleaner, renewable energy.
We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
We'll replace fossil fuels, we're told, with solar and wind power.
We can't wait any longer.
The sooner we can get committed.
Johanna Neumann's environmental group says it's convincing national leaders to go 100% renewable. 100% would be a very big increase. Now we get 12%. The vast majority of America's energy still comes from oil, natural gas, and coal. California got to 18%, but they have to pay almost twice what the rest of us pay for electricity. And in Europe,
power plants are desperately trying to buy coal because wind energy hasn't performed.
Europe has gone back to coal.
You're right. They're, cranking up some of these old coal-fired power plants, and it's bad for the environment. It's bad for public health.
Coal, the filthiest fuel of all, is now the primary electricity source in the country where Neumann was born. Germany had been a leader in renewable energy, but their reliance on wind and sun, plus their closing of nuclear plants, led to Germany not only burning more coal, but becoming more dependent on Russia. Now, Germans pay triple what Americans pay for electricity.
Saying that renewables are not yet powering our utility grid is like critiquing a 2-year-old for not being able to run a marathon.
A 2-year-old? America's solar and wind subsidies are 44 years old.
We have some tax support for clean renewable energy, but we also prop up polluting industries in remarkable ways.
We're in agreement. The subsidies should go, but the fossil fuel subsidies are a tiny fraction of what you guys get.
How we spend our taxes ought to be a reflection of our values. And Americans, by and large, love renewable energy. They want to see more of it.
We do like renewable energy.
You said you have solar panels on your rooftop?
I do.
How is that experience going for you?
Half the time they don't work. In the winter when the sun is low, I get nothing from them.
Right. So solar panels work great when the sun is shining.
But what kind of energy solution is that? Sunshine and wind are not always available.
When the sun goes down and solar descends, the winds pick up and offshore wind, gets cranked up.
The wind doesn't always come up when the sun goes down.
Offshore wind is remarkably consistent.
No, it isn't.
In the North Sea, winds have stopped blowing.
That's the problem with renewables. When you invest in them,
you're not replacing coal plants, you're not replacing gas plants, because at any given time, the sun can go near zero.
Alex Epstein leads a lonely campaign to convince people that fossil fuels are moral, because human flourishing depends on them.
3 billion people in the world still use less electricity than a typical American refrigerator. Are we going to allow them to have a modern life? Because that's going to depend on fossil fuels.
Renewables are clearly better.
We'll solve renewables problems, she says, by doing things like storing energy in batteries.
By building up battery storage, we can keep the lights on 24/7 with 100% renewable energy.
This is just a total fantasy, which is why nobody has done it anywhere ever.
But they will.
Based on what?
Technology.
There's just no basis for this whatsoever. With Elon Musk's best battery prices, it would cost multiples of global GDP to come up with this imaginary thing.
You say unaffordable, but if we're going to save the planet from climate change, we need to pay more.
We can master almost any conceivable climate change.
Mastering it's the better idea, he says. Adjust where we grow different crops. Build dikes to hold water back like Holland has.
We have 100 million people who essentially live below sea level already. Our ability to master sea levels so far outweighs any conceivable sea level rise that we don't have to be worried about it in any existential way.
Activists talk about the climate crisis.
This is what would happen to the sea level in Florida.
But most scientists don't buy disaster claims like those. The models used by the Biden administration show that even if the climate warms 2 degrees, dealing with that will likely cost society just a fraction of our income.
The trail of destruction.
Even if hurricane power rises, it hasn't so far, by the way, fossil fuels help reduce their harm. This is the amazing untold story of fossil fuels and climate change. Deaths from climate disasters have dropped sharply.
We have a 98% decline in climate-related disaster deaths over the last 100 years.
Fewer deaths because cheap fossil fuels heat homes when it's freezing, power machines that build stronger buildings, and pump water during droughts.
We have this amazing productive ability. That's the only reason we experience the planet as livable.
Global warming is a threat, and fossil fuels make it worse. But until we have some miracle battery or some other amazing invention, we need fossil fuels. Poor people need them most.
It's criminally ignored that there are billions of people who are poor and who will not become wealthy if they don't have low-cost, reliable energy, and that's going to require more fossil fuel, not less.
Thanks for watching this video. If you're curious about a different alternative to fossil fuels, watch our video on nuclear power.